Well, blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, who has blessed us with every spiritual blessing in heavenly places in Christ Jesus. Hello, you're most welcome to Heart and Soul, where we explore sports and faith. Today on the show is an Olympian, somebody who's competed for Ghana at the very highest level of athletics. At the World Championships, these days he's a coach and he's also a professor in economics. We'll be telling us a lot more about his academic background and what he's doing currently. But as far as Ghana is concerned, 2019, he was the coach as the national team won a historic gold in the 4x100 relay at Rabat in Morocco. And over the years, even just recently, he was in Oregon 2022, guiding the national athletics team as they did some amazing achievements, even a national record in the 4x100 relay. I guess again, Professor Nsiah. Good day, most welcome, Prof.
Thank you for having me.
And a lot of people ask the question, where have you been all this while?
Well, I left Ghana in 1995 and moved to the U.S. on a trust scholarship, so I've been in the U.S. since 1995.
Okay. Well, let's just concentrate a little bit about athletics in Ghana those days. How was it like?
Well, athletics has always been a very popular sport in Ghana, and especially in Kumasi, where I'm from. It mostly was the inter-schools that was carrying athletics, and because of that, anytime we had the national championships or something like that, we held it in Kumasi, the stadium was full. So it was a favorite pastime for a lot of people. It's kind of changed a little bit now, but it was an amazing experience to be part of it whilst I was growing up.
And so what really were the key ingredients that set athletics apart in the past compared to what maybe we have currently?
I truly believe that, for example, even my parents didn't know I was running track for a long time, till one day two people were betting on inter-school sport, and my mom was sitting around and they were talking about some guy, and this guy's going to a fight about it, and my mom asked, who are they fighting about it? And one of her students said, oh, it's your son, because they were using my nickname, so she didn't know who it was. But I think it was because, part of it was because of the secondary school system that we had, because we went to school for a long time. The stars stayed in the system for a long time, and so they became a household name, to the extent that a little kid will get up those days and say, Mikutu Kora. The kid has never seen Kora Emmanuel Tufo before, but because of what they name. But today, now we are hearing names like Azamati and all of that. I wish this Azar Paints and stuff like that will let Azamati be a spokesperson, an influencer for their paint, for example. I think that's what it takes. With stars like that that people can look up to, and that will generate more, at least for us.
Now, is there a spiritual dimension in sports? It's a favorite question we love to ask on this show. What is your perspective on it?
I feel that having spiritual belief in you and your God is good. However, people overextend and believe that God or whoever they are worshiping is going to do the hard work for them. You cannot be successful in anything by just living up to God. Otherwise, why did God give you brains? Right? So for me, what I personally ascribe to with sports is the 3 Olympic ideas.
Okay.
Excellence.
Excellence.
You got to be, friendship is important.
Friendship.
And what's the third one? It starts with an S.
I got to look at my notes again.
I'm blanking out on that, but I believe that if you are excellent in what you're doing, it takes you a long way. So without working hard at your sport, there's no way you're going to achieve what you're doing. Think about this. This juju thing that we have in Ghana, for example, that's going on a lot everywhere. It's been with us for a long time. And we were having a side conversation earlier on. I did mention to you that even during those days in the inter-school system, those juju thing was going on there. People really ascribed to it.
Okay.
But most of the people that really thought about that, their careers were actually short-lived, if you look at it.
It's short-lived?
Yeah, because in a sense, then, if you go there, you start believing that somebody else is doing against you. So everything else that is going wrong in your life, you ascribe it to that. Rather than critically looking at yourself and saying that, hey, I did this wrong, I could do better next time on this and stuff like that, you are blaming it on the fact that somebody did juju on you. So you are also spending your night, instead of sleeping, you are going out there, going to pray at the cemetery and all those kind of things, which to me, I don't see any good coming out of those kind of things.
Can you just maybe give us a little bit more information on what really these people did, or did you see it, or it's more like you hearing about it?
Oh, mostly it's hearing about it, and there was one, I used not to believe those things, and I still don't, I personally don't ascribe to it. But one time we were in the camp, about to run seniors and juniors competition in Accra, and we were housed at Laboni Secondary School. Wow. And one of the guys that everybody was, I'm not going to use anybody's name, but one of the guys that everybody said did that, one of the sprinters, came to another sprinter that everybody said used to do that, said, hey, take this handkerchief and put it on my hand. The guy was standing there shaking. Because apparently wherever he went to, he was supposed to do the same thing to the other guy. And there was an incident in camp, Ashanti region team that was going to regional championship. And by the way, again, this is secondary school.
Secondary school?
Again, yes. We were housed at Wesley College in Kumasi. And one of the guys was sleeping in somebody else's bed. Another guy walks in, tried to put something in his bed. He didn't realize the guy was in the room. It took a whole bunch of us to separate them.
Big fight.
Big fight. So these things, people believe in it, and because of that, they don't work hard enough. I believe that, because if you think about it, if juju truly works, why are we not winning all the medals around? Why are we not winning all the World Cups and all of that stuff? Why it doesn't travel outside Ghana? So I really believe that, like, if you believe in God, you pray for God or whoever you worship to help you through things. However, you cannot live a life where you leave everything to God. There was a little kid that I know, the mom once told me that the kid wasn't doing well at school. Then I noticed that one night I was in Ghana, and mom is going out at night, about 8 p.m. I'm like, where are you going with the kid?
8 p.m.
8 p.m. They were going to all-night service, and it was a Wednesday night.
Wow. Not even a Friday?
Not even a Friday, but Wednesday night, which means that the kid has to go to school the next day. Now, you see the problem that the kid will go to school the next day and sleep. Then you blame it on, witchcraft and all that. You are the one causing it. So I think these things, part of it is also because of some of the churches as well. Because they break up families and everything based on these things. They tell you your mom is a witch and your father is a wizard. All sorts of stories that they tell people in order to take advantage of them. And people start believing in it, and so they spend all their energy, their time, their finances on these kind of things.
So why do these athletes, I mean, now it's become a major problem. In the Black Stars, it's openly been said on this show. But, and one of the concerns is even the foreign-based athletes, those who have gone out there to Europe, to America, still come to the national team, and they're still afraid. Why, even after all these exposures elsewhere, why do you think it still stays with them?
It's a belief system, right? You can take somebody out of Ghana, but you cannot take Ghana out of the person. So if the person truly believes in that, then they'll be afraid because they believe that it works, right? You take somebody like me, I don't believe that it works. So for me, I wouldn't even mind going to do it. So out of all the foreign-based athletes, the ones that probably have never lived in Ghana, unless they get influenced by the people that, I'm talking about the football players. In our track team, we don't have those kind of things. The national team, at least, I've never heard of it, ever, at that level, in modern days. But for the footballers, I'm talking about, let's say somebody like Adam Kwarase, right?
Yeah.
Who never really lived in this country, lived in Finland or wherever he was coming from to join the Black Star. He would never have that mentality unless somebody instilled that mentality in him. So it's all about culture. This is an endemic part of our culture that we are not getting away from. To the extent that a few years, I don't know if it still happens, but they were showing these juju men on TV talking about, advertising and all of that.
It's still happening.
Which caused those little kids to kill another kid. I mean, think about it. Why are we even allowing such things on our national television? So it's become part of our culture and it's become endemic.
So, you know, you deal with a lot of athletes. When it comes to beliefs and people's spirituality, how does a coach, for instance, deal with it, especially when it becomes a problem in the team?
Well, it's never been a problem on the team, but it can be a problem for the athlete themselves. For example, we have several Muslim brothers and sisters that are on the team, and sometimes during the fasting period, it becomes a problem. Because of the fact that maybe somebody has to go race and they cannot eat the whole day. So at that point, it's a conversation between you, the coach, and the athlete as to how best you can maneuver yourself through it. Some athletes will opt to postpone their fast and do it later. Others are very adamant that they don't want to do that. But at that point, it's not something you can change. Right? So you have to go with it. So if I know, depending on the athlete, if I know they can handle that, if, for example, they're on my relay team and I know them very well from all this time and I know they can handle it, I may be okay with it. But otherwise, I may be forced to do a substitution. Right? So I think on the athlete level, for track and field, it's so personalized that it's all about the individual. And it's never come within our circles these days that somebody say, oh, I'm doing juju against somebody and all that. We have never faced that, knock on wood, that never happens. So for us, it's never really been a problem. But for other situations, as I said, even in high school, we had, secondary school, I should say, we had similar incidents happen where it basically broke up friendships and all of that, which then you as a coach, if you hear that your athletes are fighting, you have to step in and find a solution.
You know, there's something else you said, that most of these people who engage in these practices actually had their careers cut short. They didn't really advance that much. And that is a danger, you know, this program sort of wants to always highlight that, you know, if your mindset is to go do somebody so that you will succeed, then there's really danger for you going forward. I mean, we've heard lots of accounts here on this program. It's just something I wanted to just place a little bit more emphasis on.
Yeah, because if you believe that you can do something to hurt somebody and it works, you also believe that somebody else can do something to you and it will work. You see what I mean? And at that point, if anything happens that you didn't expect, you attribute it to these kind of things. And that plays on your psyche. And as I mentioned in the other program, 90% of sport is psychological. So if that thing start coming into your mind, you are one day running like, oh yeah, this guy beat me yesterday. His juju man is more stronger than mine. Now you are out there looking for another juju man, and it's like, then you start doubting yourself. An injury comes, instead of going for physiotherapy and all that stuff, you're going back to the juju man and you waste all the time. By the time you realize the injury has become chronic. So all these little things, I don't think their career gets shortened because of anything else, but because of psychological issues that this comes with. Because you going out there in the cemetery in Ghana too, think about it. Why would somebody be going to Ghanaian cemetery at night? Because most cemeteries in Ghana are not the nicest looking places. All the weeds and all that stuff. Going to those places is not even healthy for your own mindset. So why are you doing that? But again, it's all about the cultural aspects, and I think programs like what you are putting together can help educate the younger people coming up to let them know that there's not much to earn from doing those kind of things.
Not too many know about your wife. She's actually in the studio somewhere.
Yeah, she's somewhere.
Did she also do track?
No, she didn't at all. But she looks like somebody that did track. So every time people see us together, they always say that, hey, was your wife a sprinter too? No.
You celebrated an anniversary.
How do you know all of this?
It's all on social media.
Yeah.
But it was an amazing thing to see.
Yeah, we did. I mean, she's a wonderful woman, and so she makes it easier for me in life. Otherwise, a lot of things for example, when I was going to Oregon, we had already planned a vacation with our daughter and our daughter's fiance to come to Ghana.
Wow.
And I had to ditch out of it for a little bit and then come meet them later on. So again, when you have, they said behind every successful man is an amazing woman. So that's what I have.
Okay, let's go back to the name, Opegasti. Where did it originate from?
So, shout out to my Akatechi brothers. I went to Opokwari school. The only school. The only school. And when I went there for Form 1, there was a legend that there was a ghost that lived on campus called Ope. A ghost. Yes. Nobody saw the ghost before, but that's what they called. They said that we had a ghost on campus. So my first year at Opokwari campus, our Latin master had died. The first time he gave us an assignment, the next weekend that guy died. And at night, the bathrooms were not inside the building, they were attached buildings. And my friend and myself got up. We were going to use the restroom, and he had a tracksuit on. It was navy blue and red sidings, and I had my pajamas was one of those taekwondo uniforms typed in with red, and the red was black. So we walking towards the bathroom, and those days there were adults, matured men on campus too, like there were students. We saw somebody standing at the door in the middle of the night. It's like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. knocking on, because we had cubicles apart from the main dorms. They had cubicles for the seniors, the prefects. One guy standing in front of one of the cubicles in all white, knocking on the door. So we saw him half asleep, little kids. I was like 10 or something like that. Wow. So I see the guy, I'm like, that's a ghost. And so the ghost name is Ope. I said, that's Ope, the ghost. And the guy saw us. He thought we were like some family members of his coming after him. This guy was a black belt taekwondo guy that was the cadet commander. And he turned around and beat the living bejesus out of me. Oh. He was beating me up. My friend ran through the back of the hall. The watchman thought that somebody was stealing something. He used a catapult to hit my friend. Some people jumped through the window and all that. So people started calling me Ope, and then basically making fun of me because of the incident. I used to hate the name. So when I started running, and I was running fast, because of gas being used to create speed, they added a gasti to the Ope.
Wow. So
that's the whole history of my nickname, which in the end, sometimes my mom nowadays even call me by that name.
Wow. Wow. The ghost.
Yes. So basically my name means the fast ghost.
The fast ghost.
Yes.
Can you tell us about some of your memorable, things from athletics? Maybe a one-on-one duel with a particular athlete?
So back in the day, at a certain point, the schools that were doing really well in athletics was Osei Chitre Secondary School and Nsiah Ahmadiyya.
They were there?
Oh yeah, they've always been there. But Osei Chitre kind of fell off the radar.
How about Prempeh?
Prempeh was okay. They were at the Opokwari level as well. We were all good. But the thing is, we were not focused at that time on sports at all. So if an athlete came out of Prempeh College or Opokwari, that's good. It's surprising. All right? So even though Osei Chitre had several of the national athletes, and Namas did too, there were two guys, myself from Opokwari, and there was this half-caste guy from Prempeh College called Pierre Lisk. Pierre Lisk was really good. He was also a sprinter. So even though other people were in the races, most people were always looking out for Pierre Lisk and myself. So he was my main antagonist in track and field. He ended up actually running for Sierra Leone, where his mother was from. Okay. I don't know if his record has been broken yet, but he had the Sierra Leone national record 10:08 or something like that. So yeah, he was my main guy that I was competing against, but there were other people like Benedict Champon from, and there was this guy that recently died. He was in the movie business. They used to call Bishop, that guy. He was really good. he was a hurdler and also ran the 100 meters as well. So yes, those were the guys I used to compete against. And I myself, as I mentioned to you guys earlier on, I didn't start running track till Form 5.
Yeah, you're a late developer.
Late developer, and it was mainly because I never really liked running much. I didn't like to train and all that. So my friends don't knew that I could run, because some of them went to primary school with me, and my primary school, Martyrs of Uganda, was right by Opokwari, and they had a track there, so they knew I could run. One day they threatened to beat me up if I don't run for Opokwari. That's the only reason I started running. All my friends decided that we're going to gang up and beat you up if you don't run. So I came in sixth form, and nobody expected me. I came from nowhere. So Interco comes, and I beat all these national champions, and yeah, and that's how I started my athletic career.
Can we describe you as a spiritual person back in the day? Were you religious? What faith were you?
Let me tell you, I almost became a Catholic priest.
Whoa.
Yeah. My initial school I was going to go to was St. Hubert's Seminary. When I was growing up, my mom and dad are big Catholics, and we used to go to church all the time and everything. And up to today, all my family members are very, very spiritual. I personally do not go to church as much as I should, but I still do believe that there is a God, because if there's no God, then nothing makes sense to me. Because then what is the purpose of life in the end, right? So for me, I believe that a lot of religions out there are all ascribing to get close to the same one God, but some people, human beings, would change things and make things different. I believe that our ancestors, for example, were worshiping a true God too. Otherwise, I don't believe that all of our ancestors went to hell because they didn't know Jesus Christ. Because when we pour libation and we say Almighty God first, I believe it's the same God. This is why when I was growing up, the one person that I really truly admired was Bishop Akwesi Sapon.
The great.
Because the guy was a Catholic priest, but he always didn't stray away from our traditions. So because of him, if you go to the Ashanti region, the Catholic Church is quite different from most other Catholic churches in this country, because the traditions are merged into it. You know how we have the umbrellas we put on top of our canes and all? If you go to the St. Peter's Cathedral, now they call it Basilica, there's one in there on top of an empty chair, because that empty chair is for God.
Wow.
So I truly believe that there is a God. I just do not like how our churches, some of our churches, are using God's name to defraud people.
What do you mean by that?
I believe that a lot of these churches have become business ventures, where they will teach the scripture of money, prosperity, but not salvation. And I think that's leading people away from what God really intended for us to do.
So in your view, should be salvation first.
Salvation first, and also taking care of each other. For example, today's world, you sit in Ghana and watch TV, and pastors are fighting each other. What example are they setting for the kids? What example are they setting for their congregation? This is why this country is where it is. Because nowadays, growing up, we still believe in our local traditions and all of that. All of that is being wiped away, and we're replacing it with things that are foreign to us. Even our little engagements that we have for marriage ceremonies have become so different, because we all are just trying to follow the Joneses and making things so grand, and we forget the most important aspect of it: love, forgiveness. Look at all these poor people going around in Ghana. You walk around, you drive around, and you see people, little boys, 10-year-old, 11-year-old boys selling, chewing gum and all this stuff. Who truly is taking care of them? All these churches are building all these mega churches and all of that. how are we not using that money to help the poor? I believe that's what the Bible... Did Jesus Christ ever ask anybody to build a church when he came to this world? At least I didn't see in the Bible.
But maybe the argument is you also have to take care of the church. The priests have to be paid. The bills has got to be paid. And so maybe
I'm not arguing against that.
You're not against that.
But what I'm saying is the over exuberance that it has taken.
Okay.
Because if you look at a lot of these, for example, this is why I don't go to church very much, as I said. If I go to church, it will be the Catholic church.
Okay.
Again, because I know that what you give, they actually give a lot back too. And there are a lot of the older churches that are there. Yeah, maybe some, of course, every church has its problems, don't get me wrong, but I believe that I look at things and I think that the churches that I will ascribe to are the ones that also put a lot of energy in helping the low and the downtrodden in our society. If you are not doing that, I don't believe you're a church. I believe you're a business.
You're on record to have actually left your position in the national team for another athlete.
Who told you that?
From the grapevine.
A long time ago.
Yes, a long time ago.
Yeah.
Why would you do such a thing?
It was a personal protest. What happened in those days was that an athlete can do well, run or jump the furthest, and the person will be dropped from the team for reasons unknown. And they did that to a guy, and I wasn't appreciative of it because of all the guys that was on the team, he had run faster than me. So I personally didn't feel okay.
Which athlete was this?
I was Eric Nkansa.
Eric Nkansa.
I didn't feel okay going to that competition when he was dropped. So I decided I wasn't going to go. People were saying, oh, you're not going to be called the next time for the national team. They said that, and I was like, I don't care. The fact of the matter is, if they are going to do it to him today, well, before that, they had already done it to me before.
Ah, okay. So you're a man of principle.
Sometimes.
Not always.
Not always. I mean, I'm a human being, right? I'm a human being, so I cannot claim that I'm perfect.
Yeah.
But I think that when we move towards a situation where we all try to do our best in situations, it will help. I mean, if you look at our country, this is the problem that we have. And the system is so frustrating that if you are here, you don't have a choice but to be corrupt.
Yeah. I think you make a very good preacher. you just preach a whole sermon. And we're going to cut that piece and then show it to a lot of people. But maybe the very last thought here. What do you think about the current generation of athletes? I mean, you've been with them through and through.
Well,
their prospects, yeah.
I think that we have, for everyone as Amati that we have right now, we have a whole bunch of them that we haven't tapped yet. And that's my concern. We are all celebrating as Amati. We are celebrating Joe Paul, the Abigail Quattins, and the Deborah Alquez. What about the people that are being left behind? So if you ask me a question about the current crop of athletes, what my issue is the others that we are not paying any attention to. The current crop, most of them, they're okay, right? Azamati just signed a contract with ASICS. He's going to be okay. Joe Paul is about to sign a contract. He's going to be okay. What about the rest of the athletes that are there that don't know where their next meal is coming from? That's where my concern truly lies. You know, in the end, athletes will only do well if they are developed really from one stage to the other.
I want to thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
Professor Christian Nsiah, our guest, former national athlete and a track legend. Well, I want to thank you for making time to watch too. I say life is a test, it's a trust, and it's very temporal. So seek your maker while you have your breath. Give your life to Christ. Bye for now.
This is all.